Many people are skeptical about the idea of the existence of aliens and paranormal phenomena, but could our ancestors have been wrong? How did people hundreds and thousands of years ago describe flying objects that, by all accounts, could not have existed in their era? They had no concept of modern technology, yet their drawings and legends are remarkably reminiscent of UFOs. Could this be proof that they really encountered something inexplicable? In this video, you'll discover the shocking truth about the ancient world that you've never heard before. Hello, you're watching Top. Elements of life in asteroid samples. NASA analyzed samples from the asteroid Bennu, delivered by the OSIRIS-REx mission, and found organic compounds in them that are key to the origin of life. Among the findings are amino acids, ammonia, and formaldehyde, which could have participated in chemical reactions that led to the formation of proteins and DNA. Scientists confirmed that the samples contain 14 out of 20 amino acids used by living organisms on Earth. Minerals indicating the possible presence of water were also found. This data strengthens the hypothesis that asteroids like Bennu could have delivered important components necessary for the origin of life to Earth. The future of humanity on Mars. Elon Musk does not give up on the idea of colonizing Mars. He is confident that by 2027, autonomous robotic stations will land there. And in 2031, the first humans will be able to set foot on the red planet. But how will society be organized on Mars? Elon Musk claims that the Martian colony should be completely self-sufficient, without any dependence on Earth's governments. At the same time, he advocates abandoning representative democracy in favor of direct popular governance. A similar system existed in Veliki Novgorod. From 1136 to 1478, citizens would gather at the Vesh and make decisions themselves. Important issues, laws, peace treaties, the rule of the prince. Essentially, Musk is proposing a similar model for the first Martians. In his opinion, Mars is a chance for humanity to start with a clean slate and survive if Earth ends up on the brink of disaster. UFO over Sakhalin. A video featuring a mysterious object spotted over the mountains of Sakhalin in Russia is gaining popularity online. According to Newsfroll, the video appeared on social media and quickly went viral. It was reportedly filmed from a military helicopter. The footage shows a metallic disc slowly hovering over a mountain ridge, reflecting sunlight. In terms of size, it is clearly larger than a standard drone. At one point, the object changes its trajectory and disappears behind the clouds. The recording is accompanied by the characteristic sound of a helicopter, which, according to supporters of its authenticity, confirms the reality of the footage. There is only one question. What was it? The unusual shape of the asteroid Oumuamua UFO. In 2017, a mysterious object was detected passing through the solar system. Named Oumuamua, which means messenger from afar in Hawaiian, it became the first known interstellar asteroid. But its most amazing feature is its shape. With a length of 230 meters and a width of only 35, it turned out to be abnormally elongated, which is not typical for asteroids. Chinese astronomers suggested that such objects are formed as a result of tidal disruption, when a celestial body comes too close to a massive planet or star and breaks apart. In their calculations, the most likely source of such asteroids is a system with a red dwarf and a gas giant located close to the star. Some scientists believe that Oumuamua could have been a fragment of a planet or a planetesimal, the building material of young worlds. However, even under the best conditions, such objects form extremely rarely, so its appearance is a true interstellar rarity, possibly the only one in our entire history of observations. Isaac Newton predicted the end of the world? Isaac Newton is one of the greatest minds in history. He changed humanity's understanding of the world by formulating the laws of motion and gravity, but his interests went far beyond physics. He was a mathematician, astronomer, alchemist, and theologian, striving to understand the world in all its fullness. One of the most curious discoveries associated with Newton was his predicted date for the end of the world, the year 2060. He calculated it based on the Bible, specifically the book of Revelation. Newton believed that the 1,260 days mentioned there actually meant years. Counting this period from the year 800, the founding of the Holy Roman Empire, he arrived at the year 2060. However, the scientist himself noted that this was just a hypothesis. Unlike modern scientists who separate science and religion, Newton saw them as a single whole. He believed that the world was arranged according to divine laws and tried to uncover them. At the same time, he was skeptical of hasty prophecies and warned that rash predictions could discredit Holy Scripture. Today, his views may seem unusual, but in his time, natural philosophy encompassed not only science but also the search for divine purpose in nature. Newton was not only a great physicist, but also a man who sought truth in all its forms. The burial of the celestial visitor. In 1901, an expedition of British archaeologists led by Lord Williams Campbell was conducting excavations in one of the ancient tombs in the desert near the Pyramid of Giza. When they opened the massive sarcophagus, the researchers encountered a sensation. Inside was a mummy that was significantly different from all known remains of ancient Egypt. The creature's height exceeded 2.5 meters, and its skull was unusually elongated and narrow, resembling the depictions of gods on the walls of Egyptian temples. The bones were much denser than human bones and showed greater strength, suggesting they were adapted for different conditions. The strangest thing was that there were no traces of embalming or autopsy on the body, yet it was perfectly preserved, as if it had been in stasis. Archaeologists found engravings on the sarcophagus mentioning a messenger from the stars who arrived during the pharaoh's era. The hieroglyphs hinted at beings who descended from the sky and taught the ancient Egyptians architecture and astronomy. Some of the symbols resembled star maps, and on the inner walls of the tomb, there were images of flying disc-shaped objects. This discovery gave rise to many theories, from alternative history about Egypt's connection with extraterrestrial civilizations to speculation about a loss suffered by the human race. However, shortly after the excavation, the artifact disappeared without a trace. It was sent to a private collection, and mentions of it were quickly erased from official reports. Iranian interceptors and UFOs. On the night between September 18th and 19th, 1976, a mysterious event occurred in the sky over Tehran, which went down in history as the Tehran Incident. The report about this case immediately reached several U.S. agencies, the State Department, the CIA, the Pentagon, and the NSA. It all started with an alarming call to the commander of the Iranian Air Force. The air traffic controller saw an unidentified object in the sky that wasn't in civilian or military registries. An F-4 Phantom fighter was scrambled, but when it approached the target, the onboard systems lost communication and failed, forcing the pilot to retreat. The second interceptor encountered an even stranger phenomenon. A cylinder separated from the large glowing object and headed straight toward the aircraft. Lieutenant Parviz Jafari tried to open fire, but the weapon system failed, as did the ejection seat. Only when he began to move away did the equipment start working again. There were many witnesses to the incident: military personnel, airport controllers, and passengers of an Egyptian airliner. The object was detected by radar and even by an Iranian satellite. This case remains one of the most well-documented in the history of ufology. Whether to believe in UFOs or not is a personal matter, but those who saw it with their own eyes have no doubt. 2 alien bases on Earth. American lawyer and ufologist Danny Sheehan claims that he has video recordings confirming the existence of alien bases on Earth. According to him, one of the largest such bases is located in the Pacific Ocean, between the west coast of Mexico and Guadalupe Island, possibly even under the ocean floor. Sheehan is known for his investigations related to UFOs, and in recent years he has actively brought in witnesses to testify before the U.S. Congress. He is convinced that the UFO phenomenon is real, and that ships carrying living beings from other planets or dimensions have been present on Earth for a long time. According to him, the underwater base is being monitored, and there are already hundreds of videos showing unidentified objects diving underwater and then resurfacing. In addition, Sheehan claims that the military is trying to shoot down these ships and capture their crews. He warns that the government is hiding the truth, but confirmation of the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations is inevitable. Oxfordshire Mirror. Today, a mirror is a common object, but in ancient times it was considered a magical artifact. In front of you is a bronze Celtic mirror found in Didcot, England. It was created in the 1st century BC and is one of 18 similar finds that have survived to this day. In the Iron Age, such items were incredibly rare and belonged only to a select few, possibly priests or noble women. But what was it used for? For beauty, for rituals, or maybe for communicating with another world? In ancient cultures, mirrors were often considered portals to another reality, and perhaps this mirror also played its part in shamanic rituals. Adorned with elegant patterns, this artifact remains one of the most mysterious discoveries in Britain. Its true purpose is lost to time, but who knows? Maybe it really did hold something more than just a reflection. Square structure on Mars. The Mars orbiter captured a mysterious feature on the surface of Mars, a square structure. The object, with its clear lines and precise angles, sparked a flurry of discussion. Ufologists were quick to declare it an artifact of a vanished civilization, while skeptics urged caution before jumping to conclusions. Scientists believe that the reason for the appearance of the square could be something simple, ranging from geological processes to a camera defect. As an example, they cite a square formation in Tasmania that appeared as a result of erosion. However, conspiracy theorists are not satisfied with such explanations. They compare the discovery to the Egyptian pyramids and fantasize about ancient Martians. Elon Musk also reacted to the discussion, suggesting sending astronauts to investigate everything on site. Meanwhile, social media users found out that the images had been edited to enhance the effect. Nevertheless, even in the original photo, you can still see the square. Is it an illusion, a technical error, or really something unusual? The search for the divine machine. After the death of Isaac Newton, it turned out that he was also fascinated by alchemy. This discovery shocked the scientific community, since alchemy was seen as a mystical delusion, far from rational knowledge. In 1936, the economist John Maynard Keynes bought a chest of Newton's unpublished manuscripts at an auction. Instead of scientific treatises, there were his notes on esoteric theology and alchemy. Newton believed that the universe was an encrypted message from God and searched for the key to unraveling the divine plan. He studied the works of the Rosicrucians, a secret society from the 16th century that was engaged in the search for the philosopher's stone and the elixir of immortality. His library contained 169 books on alchemy, including translations of classic occult treatises. Although today alchemy is considered a pseudoscience, for Newton, it was part of the great quest for truth. He saw no boundaries between science, philosophy, and mysticism, believing that everything was interconnected. Perhaps it was this broad perspective that allowed him to make his revolutionary discoveries. The return of Newton's revolution, the inevitable encounter with UFOs. What will happen if we discover extraterrestrial intelligence? Senior astronomer of the SETI Institute, Seth Shostak, is convinced that such a moment is inevitable. According to him, signal search technologies are improving, and their effectiveness doubles every 2 years. If contact with an extraterrestrial civilization takes place, it will change the course of history. Shostak compares such an event to the discovery of America by Europeans, but on a civilization-wide scale. In his opinion, there won't be panic. Rather, people will be curious and try to establish contact. But if the aliens are dangerous, hiding would be useless. Earth's radio signals have long spread across the universe. The main challenge is interpreting any replies. The religious question is also important. History knows examples when contact with a more advanced culture undermined the faith of peoples. The discovery of aliens could lead to a similar crisis. But what if we only find microbial life, say, on Mars? It's not as spectacular, but it will prove that Earth is not the only place where life can originate. Shostak believes that if we receive a signal, it might be sent not by biological beings, but by advanced artificial intelligence. Perhaps the future of civilization lies not in living organisms, but in thinking machines. A dragon's egg? Mysterious discoveries often become the subject of the boldest theories, linking them to aliens, ancient civilizations, or cryptids. Sometimes the desire to solve a mystery leads people to mistake wishful thinking for reality, but perhaps this story really is something special. In 2020, a resident of Arkansas was digging a hole for a pool when he came across a strange object. It had a flattened, egg-shaped form and was just over half a meter long. The man immediately posted photos on social media, causing quite a stir. Cryptid theory supporters believed they were seeing a dragon egg deformed by Earth pressure. Indeed, the find resembled either a petrified monster or something unknown hidden inside a stone shell. But there were also skeptics who claimed that it was just an unusual geological formation. The mystery deepened when the owner of the find soon refused to make any comments and did not submit the object for analysis. Whether it was an ancient artifact, a trace of an extraterrestrial civilization, or simply a quirk of nature remains anyone's guess. Fossilized bacteria. The theory of extraterrestrial origin of life requires solid evidence. In the mid-20th century, scientists began studying meteorites in hopes of finding traces of alien microorganisms in them, but the results turned out to be inconclusive. In 1965, seeds were discovered in the Vorgol meteorite, but it soon turned out to be a hoax. In 1996, NASA announced that fossilized bacteria had been found in the Allen Hills 84001 meteorite, which came from Mars. However, many scientists believe that this could have been the result of chemical processes. Although there is no convincing evidence for the panspermia theory, it is known that some microorganisms are capable of surviving in space. For example, the bacterium Streptococcus mitis accidentally survived a flight to the moon and back on board Apollo 12. In 2008, an experiment on the ISS showed that bacteria can exist in open space for more than a year. Nobel laureate Francis Crick suggested that life could have been intentionally spread by an advanced civilization. Perhaps in the future, humanity itself will begin seeding life on other planets. Mysterious photo. This picture raises many questions and debates. It shows two mysterious figures, and some consider them proof of the existence of extraterrestrial beings. On the left, there is a tiny creature with thin limbs, a large head, and characteristic metal-shaped eyes. Its skin has a strange color as if it's covered with a shimmering film. On the right, there is another figure preserved in a liquid-filled container, resembling exhibits that can be found in scientific laboratories or anatomy museums. Such findings are often associated with conspiracy theories about UFO crashes, secret laboratories, and experiments. Some claim that this is evidence of extraterrestrial life, while skeptics consider them to be skillfully made dummies or anatomical models. Whether this is a genuine artifact or just a fabricated fake remains an open question. But one thing can be said for sure: such images fuel interest in the mystery of extraterrestrial intelligence and make us wonder, what if we are not alone in the universe? Was Nikola Tesla an alien? Nikola Tesla was a brilliant inventor whose ideas were ahead of his time. However, his incredible achievements have given rise to many theories, including the suggestion that he was not human, but an alien. In declassified FBI documents, there is a record suggesting that Tesla might have come from Venus. Margaret Storm, the author of the book Return of the Dove, claimed that she gained access to this information through an interplanetary communication device, supposedly created by Tesla in 1938. The report states that Tesla's engineers were in contact with his spaceship, and that he himself was a Venusian who was left on Earth in 1856. This version seems fantastic, but the fact that such statements ended up in official FBI documents raises questions. However, during the peak of the Cold War, intelligence agencies gathered all types of information, including unconfirmed theories. Despite the mystique surrounding his name, Tesla remains a key figure in the history of science. He registered about 300 patents, and his discoveries laid the foundation for technologies such as radio, television, and wireless power transmission. He registered about 30 patents, and his discoveries laid the foundation for technologies such as radio, television, and wireless power transmission. Even decades later, his ideas continue to inspire engineers and scientists. Martian meteorites. Greetings from space. Seriously, these rocks came to us directly from Mars. It sounds incredible, but it's a scientific fact. How did pieces of the red planet end up on Earth? It all started with a giant impact. Either an asteroid or a comet collided with Mars, ejecting fragments of rock into space. Because the planet's gravity is about 2.5 times weaker than Earth's, The debris escaped Mars and set off on an interplanetary journey. Some of them took millions of years to reach Earth. One of the largest meteorites is Taudini 002, which was found in Mali in 2021. It weighs 14.5 kilograms, and the most famous meteorite is Allen Hills, discovered in Antarctica. It arrived 13,000 years ago, and inside it, scientists found possible traces of Martian life. Kabayan mummies. We usually associate mummification primarily with ancient Egypt, but this practice also existed in other cultures. One of the most unusual methods was used by ancient Filipinos who mummified their dead with the help of smoke. Their method had nothing to do with bandages and the traditional embalming of the Egyptians, but it was no less effective. One of the largest burial sites of this type was discovered at the end of the 20th century in a cave in the province of Kabayan, which gave rise to the name fire mummy. According to scientists' estimates, the remains found are 500 to 700 years old. The mummification process began while the person was still alive. The dying person was given a very salty drink to dehydrate the body. After death, the body was placed in a sitting position and subjected to prolonged smoke curing. This process could last several months, after which the mummy was placed in a pine coffin and left in a cave. This method allowed the bodies to be preserved in remarkably good condition, even after centuries. It is believed that such a practice had not only ritual, but also spiritual significance. The souls of the deceased remained a part of their people. Gravity by Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was a brilliant artist, inventor, and scientist of the Renaissance era. But, as it turned out, his mind was even more insightful than previously thought. A recent study showed that he anticipated the basic principles of gravity long before Isaac Newton. In his notes found in the Codex Arundel, Da Vinci drew a diagram of an experiment. A jug moves in a straight line, and grains of sand pouring out of it fall straight down. He analyzed its trajectory and realized that falling is governed by acceleration. This means that Leonardo understood that gravity is a force that causes objects to accelerate, but he went even further. In his notes, he used geometric shapes to describe the patterns of motion. He noticed that if the jug moves with the same acceleration as the falling particles, a perfect isosceles triangle is formed. This was the first step toward calculating the gravitational constant. Although his mathematical calculations were inaccurate, the error was only 3%. Da Vinci didn't have time to bring his ideas to completion, but if his discoveries had been noticed earlier, perhaps the science of gravity would have developed faster. 500 years later, we realize how far ahead of his time he was. The ghostly Appalachians are a mountain range older than Saturn's rings and even the ozone layer. Its rocks were formed 1.2 billion years ago, when the continents were still one whole. This ancient land has inspired many legends, making the mountains one of Earth's most mysterious places. Among the dense forests and deep gorges, local residents have told stories for centuries about mysterious creatures. The Mothman, and in Ampus in Verona, tales mixed about the Flatwood monsters. That's why social networks are now full of discussions about mystical phenomena in the Appalachians. Scientists believe that the unique topography of the region has contributed to the formation of a rich ecosystem. Ancient forests and swamps, hidden from civilization, preserve an atmosphere of pristine nature. Folklorists note that in this landscape it's easy to feel the presence of something ancient and powerful. Myths about mysterious creatures not only frighten, but also serve as a warning. Just like before, these stories help people treat the wild with more caution. Perhaps within these legends lies something more, a memory of a time when humans were only beginning to understand the world. UFOs in Russia. UFOs are a topic that has always fascinated people's minds. Mysterious sky objects have been observed throughout history, and ancient chronicles and myths often reference strange celestial phenomena. Of course, most of them can be explained from a scientific point of view, optical illusions, natural phenomena, or man-made objects. But about 3% of cases remain unanswered. In Russia, interest in UFOs is also high. The first mentions of strange celestial phenomena can be found even in old Russian chronicles. For example, in 1111 during the battle with the Polovtsi, chroniclers recorded the appearance of mysterious celestial forces, and in 1240, something similar was observed during the Battle of the Neva. Of course, it's hard to say exactly what our ancestors saw, but the fact remains. Mysterious objects in the sky have been noted throughout history. In Soviet times, the study of UFOs was approached more systematically. In 1977, one of the most famous cases occurred, the Petrozavodsk phenomenon. At that time, a glowing object was observed in the sky, and its nature was long debated. In the end, the official explanation was that it was a satellite launch. Overall, the UFO Commission in the USSR concluded that most sightings were rocket launches, atmospheric phenomena, or weather balloons. But despite the scientists' skepticism, people continue to observe mysterious objects. Reports come especially often from the Urals and the Chelyabinsk region. In 1990, local historian Vitaly Chernitsov spoke about a terrifying flying object over Lake Zuratkul, which supposedly was taking water from the reservoir. And in 2003 in Chelyabinsk, eyewitnesses saw a UFO emitting such a bright blue light that you could read by it. Another place of power is the Perm region, more precisely the village of Malepka. This place is called the Russian Bermuda Triangle. Researchers and tourists regularly come here hoping to see a UFO. Ufologists even claim that they found fragments of an unknown device here, containing pure tungsten metal, which is rarely found in nature. Altai is no exception. In 2007, local residents observed a huge glowing sphere that lit up the night sky, and then there was a loud bang. Some say it was a meteorite, but no evidence was found. And in 2010, archaeology students filmed a video of an object that was hovering over the taiga. Artifact Star Key. In 1932, a group of archaeologists exploring the high mountain monasteries of Tibet stumbled upon a strange object hidden in one of the ancient caves. Inside a stone niche among ritual figurines and scrolls, they discovered a smooth metal disc covered with mysterious symbols. The inscriptions did not match any known ancient language, and the material from which the artifact was made shocked the scientists. It could not be scratched, did not react to high temperatures, and according to analysis, it was an alloy that did not occur in nature. The local monks called the find the key to the heavens and claimed that the disc belonged to celestial visitors who had come to Earth thousands of years ago. Legend says the artifact was once part of a device that opened paths to other worlds. Some scientists suggested that the symbols on it might represent a star map or a complex system of coordinates. The most intriguing fact was that the disc had unusual properties. If you brought the device close to it, the needle would start spinning wildly. When illuminated with ultraviolet light, new previously invisible symbols appeared on its surface. Despite numerous studies, the mystery of the artifact was never solved. Flying machines of ancient aliens? Before you is an artifact decorated with strange symbols and images that resemble flying machines. Some researchers believe that this could be ancient evidence of contact with the extraterrestrial civilizations. The shape of the object is unusual. It resembles a capsule or a ship. Inside, there are figurines with large heads and almond-shaped eyes, which are often associated with descriptions of extraterrestrial beings. Symbols are engraved on the side surfaces, resembling the script of ancient civilizations, diagrams, or even star maps. This artifact could have been part of a ritual object reflecting the beliefs of an ancient people, or perhaps evidence of something much more incredible. Perhaps we are looking at an artifact left behind by representatives of another civilization. Vikings and UFOs. In 2022, during archaeological excavations in Trondheim, Norway, an unusual game piece from the Viking Age was found. This unusual artifact, made of steatite, was discovered in an ancient well dating back to the 11th or 12th century. Strange symbols resembling runes were engraved on its surface. After a detailed analysis, scientists confirmed that this is indeed a runic inscription, possibly meaning battle brother or comrade in arms. But the researchers encountered another mystery. In addition to the obvious runes, there were finer lines on the surface of the token, which upon closer examination formed a pattern resembling an unknown star map. Some enthusiasts of alternative history suggested that this pattern might be a stylized depiction of an object resembling a disc-shaped UFO. Historians and ufologists have long discussed the link between Vikings and reports of strange phenomena. In the Scandinavian sagas, Fiery chariots and skyships traversing the heavens are mentioned repeatedly. It is possible that ancient warriors encountered phenomena that today could be interpreted as contacts with extraterrestrial beings. Paranormal Britain is a land of ancient legends, and ghosts here are not just part of folklore, but a true cultural feature. Research shows that a third of Britons believe in the existence of spirits, and in some regions, they are even revered more than God. Ghost stories are passed down from generation to generation, and it seems that every old house, castle, or even pub has its own mystical story. London, as one of the oldest cities, is literally saturated with ghostly energy. Here, you can encounter a spirit in theaters, on the street, in old hotels, and in churches. In the Tower, one of Britain's most famous places, ghosts have become regular inhabitants. People talk about the appearance of the spirit of Anne Boleyn, who was beheaded by order of Henry VIII, and about mysterious voices coming from the chapel of St. Peter, where many execution victims are buried. But London isn't the only place where the dead resist leaving the world of the living. Many stories are tied to castles, whose centuries-old walls recall both the country's history and terrifying past events. In Windsor Castle, which still remains the residence of British monarchs, they say you can hear the footsteps of Henry VIII or encounter the ghost of Elizabeth I in the library. At Chillingham Castle, the ghost of executioner John Sage, who tortured 1,000 people, is said to wander. And in Glamis, at night, the restless shadow of Count Alexander Lindsay appears, who once rebelled against the king and was cursed to wander forever. These places hold such dark secrets that even modern paranormal researchers admit that there is clearly something unexplainable here. But not only people become ghosts in Britain. Phantom horses gallop along ancient roads, and in some towns a mysterious ghost goose has been spotted, appearing and disappearing with incredible speed. Black dogs are seen as the most terrifying, said in legend to bring misfortune to those who meet them. They appear suddenly, and descriptions from various regions are remarkably alike. Huge shadows with burning eyes watch travelers and then dissolve into thin air. Reports of encounters with the supernatural often come from drivers as well. Many of these stories are similar. A woman in old-fashioned clothes appears on the road. The driver brakes, thinking he has hit someone, but when he gets out of the car, he finds neither a body nor any signs of a collision. And on the River Thames, ghosts are especially common, at the Traitors' Gate in the Tower and on London Bridge, where in the Middle Ages the heads of the executed were displayed. Myths and legends about ghosts are woven so deeply into British history that they've become an integral part of it. Old villages, inns, and even ordinary streets. In Britain, it seems every place has its own spirit. Perhaps many of these stories are just fiction, but people keep hearing footsteps where no one is, seeing silhouettes in old mirrors, and feeling someone's gaze in empty corridors. Even if ghosts are just fantasies, their presence makes Britain's history even more mysterious and fascinating. And do you believe in extraterrestrial life or the paranormal? Write your opinion in the comments below the video. I'd be interested to hear what you think. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, everyone.